Heavenly Father, we come to you today with humble hearts, seeking your guidance and wisdom as we begin this program. Lord, we ask that you would bless every person who has gathered here today, and that you would be present with us in a special way. We pray that this program would be a time of learning, growth, and fellowship for all of us. Help us to listen to one another with open hearts and open minds, and to support one another as we strive to serve you in all that we do. Please give us the strength and the courage to follow your will and to use the gifts and talents you have given us to make a positive difference in the world. We pray all of this in your holy name. Amen.
Good evening, everyone! It's another day, another learning opportunity na naman na hatid sa inyo ng Scale Up Training and Development. Assalamualaikum po sa lahat. My name is Diane and I'll be your host for tonight. Thank you everyone for investing your another day with us sa Scale Up. And live din po tayo ngayon sa ating Facebook page na Scale Up Training and Development. Welcome din po sa ating participants sa ating Facebook Live. At syempre, dito sa ating Zoom. It's another administrative webinar series na naman ang ating tatalakayin for tonight. Before we proceed sa ating webinar proper, let me remind everyone sa ating house rules. Konti lang po ito, madali lang pong matandaan or ma-memorize. Keep your microphone muted na lang po as the discussion is still going on para hindi ma-disturb si mentor at ating co-participants. Use the chat box na lang po. Dito sa ating Zoom, meron namang icon na raise a hand para masagot ang inyong katanungan or meron kayong clarification tungkol sa ating discussion. Sa ating Facebook Live viewers naman or sa ating participants, mag-comment na lang po kayo doon at ating i-relay kay mentor ang inyong mga questions or clarifications. Respect the speaker and the participants po. Avoid interrupting while the discussion is still going on para mas focus po tayo sa ating topic for tonight. And stay present and engaged po, lalong-lalo na sa dulo dahil meron tayong attendance and evaluation mamaya. Keep your camera on if possible lang naman po. It's a friendly, commuter-friendly webinar naman po ito. Pwede itong sa mga, lalong-lalo na sa mga students natin na nagko-commute pa or mga workers natin na pauwi pa lang. Welcome na welcome po kayo sa webinar na ito. Pwede po kayong mag-on ng camera or hindi. It's okay lang po. Certificate-related concerns, mamaya i-discuss natin after the presentation of our mentor para mas focus po tayo sa ating learning activity for tonight. And sa ating administrative webinar series, nakandak na natin ang ika-11, nasa ika-12 na po tayo na ating series for tonight. Sa ating pinakaunang series is about the administrative management. And the 102 naman is about the records management, retention, and disposal. At sa ating ika-3 was about the office administration. And sa ating 4th series, about the office management for administrative excellence. And sa ating ika-5 was about the customer and quality service management. For the 6th one is about the project development and management. Diba? Madami-dami na tong administrative series natin. And the 7th one was about the essentials of research and development. Sa ating ika-8, essential digital skills for administrative assistance. Sa ating ika-9 naman is about the task organization and workflow management. Sa ika-10 was about the business communication and professional correspondence. And the last one about the strategic planning and organizational development. And andito na tayo sa ating administrative ethics and professional conduct. Lahat ng conducted webinars natin is makikita nyo sa ating YouTube channel, which is same name sa ating Facebook page na Scale Up Training and Development. Pag open nyo po doon, makikita nyo ang playlist and choose the administrative. Doon nyo po makikita ang ating conducted webinars. And all the conducted webinars, regardless of the category, makikita nyo po doon, and kindly save na lang po itong link na nasa baba sa right side ng screen. Lahat po dyan nyo po makikita ang conducted webinars natin. So, let's proceed sa ating guide question for tonight. How to uphold ethical standards, professionalism, and accountability in administrative practice. Ito po yung katanungan na sasagutin sa atin ni mentor for tonight. So, our mentor or the resource speaker is a professor of Lyceum of the Philippine in Cavite and a professor in Emilio Aguinaldo College, Cavite. Known for his practical, engaging, and people-centered approach, Professor Garcia advocates for building compliant, high-performing, and psychologically safe workplaces. He is committed to helping organizations and professionals develop strategic HR practices that drive sustainable growth, employee well-being, and organizational excellence. I-welcome po natin ating mentor or the resource speaker for this session, Mentor NORIEL Garcia. Good evening po, Mentor.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening po. I just end my share screen po to have the floor for you po.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mentor.
Hi everyone, good evening po. Pa-thumbs up, ang dami nyo. Ang dami nyo today. Pa-thumbs up nga po. Okay. Ang dami. Ayan, nakikita nyo na po yung screen ko. Thumbs up nga po kung nakikita na yung screen. Okay. Yung Facebook ko, nakikita nyo? Hindi naman, hindi naman. Okay. So start na tayo ha. So yeah, again, good evening po sa lahat. Good evening everyone. Lahat pa tayo mga ano dito? Or ano mga age natin dito? Mga ano, working professional na ba? Or mga estudyante pa? Okay. So sige. Umpisa na natin. So let me start with a question. Have you ever done something at your work that you knew was wrong, but you did it anyway? Yes or no po? So palagay naman sa chat box natin. May nagawa na ba tayong ganon? Not because you wanted to be dishonest, not because you wanted to hurt someone. And siguro, but because someone told you. Just do it. Gawin mo yan. Meron na bang nakapagsabi sa atin ng ganon? Yes or no po? Ano? Don't worry. Ano naman to? Safe space naman to. Para sa atin lang naman to. Isa lang ang malakas ang loob sa dami nyo. Okay. Siguro, ano na lang natin ha? Maybe, okay. Ayan, nagsunod-sunod na. Maybe it was changing a document. Bigyan ko pa kayo mga example. Maybe it was hiding a mistake. Ayan, nagkakaroon na. Maybe, bigyan pa natin maraming maybe ha. Maybe it was giving someone special treatment. Maybe kaya tayo naging ano ba to? Kaya tayo yes. Okay. Maybe it was giving someone special treatment nga. Or maybe, ano pa bang maybe natin? Maybe it was sharing information that was supposed to remain confidential. Or maybe it was something very small, something you thought nobody would notice. Mga ganun ba? And sige. Pa-yes po, kung nagawa na natin. Okay. Sige, antayin ko yan. Okay lang naman. Okay. Yung mga bagay na something you thought nobody would notice. Nagawa na ba natin yon? Okay. And that's where ethics becomes interesting. That, okay, sige, sige, sige lang, type lang po tayo dyan. Sige lang. Because ethics is rarely tested when the right thing is easy. Ethics is tested when doing the right thing becomes uncomfortable. When your supervisor is asking you to do something questionable, when your colleague is your friend, when telling the truth could create conflict, when staying silent is easier than speaking up, and when nobody is watching. So here's something I want you to remember throughout our session today. Your professionalism is not measured by how you behave when people are watching. Tandaan po natin to. It is measured by the decisions you make when they are not. As admin professionals, siguro hinahandle natin what we are handling is, you are handling things that people trust you with. You handle documents, you handle information, schedules, records, communication, resources, and sometimes even people's personal and confidential information. And because of that, your job is not simply to be efficient. You also have to be trustworthy. Now, because an administrative professional can make a mistake with a simple document, with a document, but an ethical decision can damage a person. It can damage a team. It can damage an organization. And sometimes it can damage your own professional reputation. So today, we're not going to talk about ethics as a list of rules that you need to memorize on your exam. We're going to talk about ethics as something much more practical and something that happens every day. In the email you chose to send, in the information you chose to share, in the mistake you chose to admit, in the person you chose to treat fairly, in the instructions you chose to question, and in the decision you make when nobody is looking. So, before we begin, nag-uumpisa pa lang po tayo. Yes, I want you to think about one question. If your answer is yes, that's integrity. And then if your answer is no, that's where professional growth begins. Okay. So again, welcome to Administrative 112, Administrative Ethics and Professional Conduct. So today, we're going to talk about something more important than simply doing your job well. So we're going to talk about doing your job right. Okay. Now, why ethics matter in administration? So now, let me bring this closer to your everyday reality. Because when we hear the word ethics, sometimes it sounds very formal, right? Okay. So it sounds like something we find in company handbook, right? And sometimes written in policy, sometimes discussed during orientation. But here's the truth. Ethics is not just found in policies. Ethics is found in ordinary decisions every single day. And this is especially important for administrative professionals. You might ask, why? Because administrative professionals are often the people who are trusted with details that other people don't see. You see documents, you see the emails, you see the schedules, and you see the records. You receive information before other people do. And sometimes you know about a promotion before other employees does. Sometimes you know about resignation before the rest of the team. And sometimes you have access to salaries, personal information, disciplinary records, and business documents, other confidential communication. And that means something very important. And an administrative position, this is not just a position of responsibility. It is a position of trust. So the administrative professional as trusted employee. Okay, let me give you a Filipino workplace example. Imagine you're working. You are working in an office here in the Philippines. Now, your supervisor sends you a message. Please don't tell anyone yet. But we're preparing a memorandum regarding one of our employees. So you now know something that your colleague doesn't know. Then, during lunch, your colleague asks, Uy, may issue ba? Parang may ginagawa si boss. And then they say, sabihin mo na sa akin. Promise. Hindi ko sasabihin. You know what happened next? This is where ethics becomes real. Because you have two choices. You can say, wala akong alam. Or you can say, sorry, I don't discuss confidential matters. Okay. So the second answer may sound simple, but that's professionalism. Because confidentiality is not about keeping secrets for the sake of keeping secrets. This is about understanding that not every piece of information you have is yours to share. Yes. Guys, kung may comment kayo, questions, comments, lagay nyo lang dito sa chat box. Mas ma-appreciate ko siya. Okay. And this is something I've encountered repeatedly in HR and admin work. People sometimes think, eh, trusted naman ako sa office. Exactly. Because you are trusted, you have to know what not to disclose. The more access you have, the greater your responsibility becomes. Questions? You have questions, clarifications? Okay, thumbs up if you are still there. Ang dami natin. Sige. Walang question. Or emojis if you are still there. Baka wala na akong kasama eh. Ayun. Thank you so much. Yeah. So let's go to ethics versus simply following rules. Dalawa po yung monitor ko ha. Kaya nakatingin ako minsan dito. Okay. Now, Here's what I want to challenge you. Is being ethical simply about following the rules? Do you think? Not necessarily, because these are situations where something may not be explicitly prohibited, but you already know it doesn't feel right. Let's take a very common example here in the Philippines. Your friend, let's just say your friend works in the same company, and then there's 10 employees applying for a training opportunity. Now, your friend asks, pwede mo bang ilagay yung name ko sa list? Kahit hindi ako first priority, baka naman pwedeng pagbigyan, baka naman. And then your friend says, friend, we're friends naman, di ba? Now, there may not be policy that says do not give your friend preferred treatment, but ethically, you already know the issue. Because the question isn't simply, is there a rule against it? The better question is it fair? Right? And that is the difference between compliance and ethics. Compliance asks, what does the rule says or say? And then ethics says, ethic asks, what is the right thing to do? And excellent administrative professionals need both. We need to follow policies, but we also need judgment. Because not every ethical situation will come with a warning label. Ngayon, Filipino workplace reality. In our office, let's be honest. In the Philippines, sometimes our biggest ethical challenge doesn't come from bad intentions, right? Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Wala. Ako lang ba? Okay, may isang naging honest din. Sige. Okay. Let's start with this. Thank you so much. Ayan. They come from relationships. Kaibigan ko kasi. Boss ko kasi. Matagal na kasi kami magkatrabaho. Pakiusap lang naman. Maliit na bagay. You can hear it every now and then, di ba? Lahat naman gumagawa. And perhaps one of the most dangerous phrases in the workplace is, okay lang yan. Because sometimes the first step toward serious ethical problem is convincing ourselves that a small compromise doesn't matter. So, okay, why small decisions matter? Let me give you another example. Imagine an administrative employee who noticed an error in a document. It's just a small error. One number is wrong. And then the employee thinks, maliit lang naman to. Hindi naman makapansin. Di ba? Mga ganyan tayo. Okay. So, they leave it. Then another person uses that document. That person assumes the information, all of the information are correct. Now, then that document is submitted. Then management makes a decision based on it. And suddenly, one small administrative error has become an organizational problem. That's why I want you to remember this. Small decisions don't always have small consequences. A wrong date can affect a deadline. A wrong number can affect a report. A leak message can damage trust. A favor can create unfairness. A careless email can damage a professional relationships. And one decision that seems harmless today can become a serious problem tomorrow. Let me just ask you, let me just ask everyone, have you ever been asked to do something that at work that was technically small, but you knew it wasn't completely right? Ulitin ko yung tanong ko kanina. Have you ever been asked to do something at work that was technically small, but you knew it wasn't completely right? Maybe you were asked to change the date, hide an error, share information, give someone special treatment. Anak ni ano po yan? Ganun. Sign something you didn't personally verify, or simply look the other way. Sige po, pasagot yung mga hindi sumagot dati. Tignan natin. Ayun, nagsagutan na sila. Thank you so much. Okay. If yes po. Practice makes permanent. Okay. If you've experienced like that from my previous job, yes, if you experience something like that, here's the important question. What did you do? Because that's where your professional character revealed. Not when everything is easy, not when everyone agrees with you, but when doing the right thing becomes inconvenient. Okay. Administrative, let's go to the administrative professional as the organization's trust keeper. Okay. Ayun. Okay. Admin professionals. Sabihin natin ganun. As admin professionals, you may not always be the highest ranking, not the highest ranking person in the organization. It's just fine. You may not be the CEO. You may not be the department head or the manager. You may not be the decision maker, but you can still have something incredibly powerful. What is it? Trust. And trust is earned through repeated repeated decisions. Every time you protect confidentiality, every time you protect confidential information, you build trust. Every time you admit a mistake, you build trust. Every time you treat people fairly, you build trust. And every time you refuse to manipulate information, you build trust. Every time you say, I'm sorry, but I don't think that's right. That's not right, or that's not the right thing to do. You demonstrate professional courage. And sometimes that sentence can be difficult to say. Especially when the person asking you is your supervisor or your manager, or let's just say superior. But professionalism does not mean blindly obeying. Professionalism means having the judgment to know when to comply, when to clarify, and when to respectfully raise a concern. So let me leave you with this thought before we move to the next topic. Your position may be written in your job description, but your character is written in your decisions. You may be responsible for documents. You may be responsible for schedules. You may be responsible for records. You may be responsible for people, but ultimately, you are responsible for the trust that comes with your position. And remember, a signature can authorize a document. A possession can give you authority, and a company can give you access. But there's a but only integrity can make people trust you with all three. So the question is not, can I do this? The better question is, should I do this? And sometimes the most professional thing that we can do is to stop, you think, and choose what is right. Because in an admin profession, competence it may get you trusted with the work, but integrity determines whether you deserve that trust. And that brings us to our next question. If ethics is about making the right decision, how do we actually recognize an ethical dilemma when it happens? Okay. Thumbs up nga po kung andyan pa sila. Or emoji. Ang dami nyo kasi ngayon. Okay. Thank you. Okay. A while ago, thank you. A while ago, I asked you, should I do this? And that question brings us to our next topic. Actually, dugtong-dugtong yan yung mga tinatanong ko sa inyo. Because if we want to make ethical decisions, we first need to understand what exactly is ethics. Now, if I ask you right now, what is ethics? Some of you might say, doing the right thing. And honestly, that's a very good place to start. But I want to take it one step further. You see, ethics is the set of principles that guide us in deciding what is right, what is fair, what is responsible, and appropriate. Especially when we have choice. And notice something important. Ethics becomes meaningful when you have a choice. If there's only one option, there's not much an ethical dilemma. But when you have two choices, one that's easier and one that's right, that's where ethics begins. So, ethics versus professional ethics. Now, let's make this practical na lang. Ethics is about how we determine what is right or wrong. Professional ethics applies those principles to our work. So for an admin professional, professional ethics means asking, how should I behave when I'm trusted with company information? How should I treat employees? How should I handle confidential documents? What should I do when I make a mistake? What should I do when my supervisor asks me to do something questionable? And here's something I learned through my work in HR and admin. People don't judge your professionalism only by the quality of uh the quality of your work. They also judge you by how you handle responsibility. You can be very good in Excel. You can prepare reports quickly. You can organize schedule perfectly. You can write excellent emails. But if people cannot trust you, your technical skills will never be enough. Because uh, admin work is built on trust. Okay, I have here 5 principles of ethical administration. For That's true. Thank you. Uh, for today's discussion, I want you to remember 5 words: integrity, honesty, hindi kita. Fairness, respect, responsibility. Let's break them down. So integrity, this one means doing the right, doing doing the right, what is right, even nobody is watching. Mabigat, di ba? This is probably one of the most important qualities of admin professional. Let me give you a very realistic workplace example. So imagine you're preparing attendance report, and then you notice that your colleague forgot to log out. Nangyayari to lagi in our office. Your colleague approaches you and say, pwede mo bang ayusin? Baka naman, baka kasi madedak ako. Now, you know the person. That's the problem. Maybe you're friends. Maybe you even had lunch together before. You have the ability to change the record, obviously. And nobody may ever know. That's, ano yan, yung pinakamabigat. And that's the test. Integrity asks, will I manipulate the record simply because I can? Or will I follow the proper process even when helping my friend would be easier? You see, integrity doesn't mean being heartless. You can still help your colleague. You can tell them, let's document what happened and follow the proper correction process. And that's integrity. You help the person without compromising the process. The second one, honesty. Yes. Honesty. Sometimes honesty is uncomfortable. Sometimes lang naman. Especially when you're made, ano ba ta? Kapag nagkakamali tayo. When we made the mistake. Now, let me share something I've seen repeatedly in HR and admin work. Lagi ko itong napapansin sa office. An admin employee makes an error in a report. Accountability. Okay. Instead of immediately reporting it, they think, baka hindi mapansin. So they leave it. Then someone else deserves it. Deserves it. Sorry. Then someone else discovers it. Bigla may nakapansin. Eto. And suddenly, the question becomes, why didn't you tell us earlier? Bumigat na. And that's an important lesson. The mistake itself maybe manageable nung panahon na yon. But hiding the mistake can make it much bigger. If you make an error, one of the most professional thing you can say is, I made a mistake, here's what happened, and here's what I am doing to correct it. That's not weakness po. That's accountability. Because honesty doesn't never making mistakes. Honesty means refusing to hide them. Questions, clarifications. Okay, let's go to the third one. Fairness. This is particularly important in admin and HR-related work. Sa mga hindi pa po nakakaalam, HR consultant po ako ngayon. And before, HR manager. And ngayon din po, professor din po ako. Actually, 3 school na pala. Yung 3 school na yung pinapasok ako ngayon as faculty. Okay. Balik tayo ha. This is particularly important in admin and HR related work. Because you will encounter people you like, di ba? People you don't like. Totoo naman. People who are your friends. Minsan nga naging kumpare pa. People who are difficult. People who have been in the organizations for 20 years. Di ba? People who just started yesterday. Mga ganun. But your responsibility is to apply appropriate standards fairly. Let's say there are 2 employees requesting the same schedule. One is your friend. And then the other is someone, minsan crush ng employees. Ng employee. Okay. Okay. Wala ako doon. Okay. Nagtawa na sila. Okay. Ganito lang yan. You can simply say, mali pala, you cannot pala. Hindi pala natin pwede sabihin. You cannot, naligo siya ng emoji. Okay. You cannot simply say, kaibigan ko kasi siya. That's favoritism. Fairness means asking, what is the legitimate basis for this decision? Diba? Not, why do I personally like more? Hindi ganon. That is particularly important in the Philippine workplace because relationships matter to us. We value pakikisama. We value friendship. We value helping one another. And all of those are good values. But there is a difference between pakikisama and favoritism. You can be kind without being unfair. You can help someone without giving them an unfair advantage. Fairness means that your personal relationship should not automatically determine your professional decision. Let's go to number 4. Sige. Respect. I want you to emphasize something respect isn't only about saying good morning, ma'am, or thank you, sir. Respect is also about how we treat people when we disagree. Yes po, totoo yan. Imagine an employee comes to your office because they have a problem with their documents. let's just say, they're frustrated. Maybe there's already stress. And they say, ma'am, bakit po ganito? Ganito. Bakit po ganito? Ilang beses na po akong bumabalik. You have two choices. You can respond defensively. Hindi ko naman kasalanan yan eh. Or you can say, I understand that this has been frustrating. Let's check what happened so we can find a solution. Same problem, different response. That's professionalism. Because respect doesn't mean agreeing with everyone. Respect means remembering that there is a person on the other side of the conversation. And this applies not only face to face. It applies to saan? Emails, Messenger, GC, Zoom meeting, Viber, phone calls, etc., etc. And even the way we talk about people when they're not present. Hindi ko nahabaan kasi pag yung people talk about people when they're not present, eh baka umabot tayo hanggang bukas. Okay, last one, yung responsibility. Responsibility means owning your role, your decision, and your actions. In the workplace po kasi yung tawag natin, ang proper wordings ha, hindi sa office. Ayan, workplace pa. Yung tinatawag namin as HR. Ha? Okay. In the workplace, there will always be mistakes. Lagi yan. There will be missed deadlines. There will be misunderstandings. There will be days when something goes wrong. Now the question is, who takes ownership? One of the least professional responses you can give is, di ko naman kasalanan yan. Because sometimes responsibility is not about determining who is guilty. This is about determining what can I do? What can I do now to fix the problem? That's what responsible professionals do. They don't spend all their energy looking for someone to blame. They focus on the solution. So, sige. Let's put them together. So, integrity, do what is right. Honesty, you tell the truth. Fairness, don't let favoritism control decisions. And respect, treat people with dignity. And then responsibility, own your actions and fix what you can. And here's the beautiful thing. These 5 principles don't require a management position. You don't have to be a manager. You don't have to be an executive. You don't have to be 10 years. You have 10 years of your experience. You can practice all 5 starting today. Okay. Let me ask you something. Don't answer out loud. Just think about it. Which of these 5 is your strongest? Integrity, honesty, fairness, respect, and responsibility. You don't have to type. Sige. Nakita ko na integrity. Okay. Now, Here's the more difficult question. Pahirapan natin ng konti. Which one do you need to improve? Because professional development isn't only about improving our technical skills. Sometimes the most important development is character development. So let me leave you with this before we go to the next topic. Your organization may give you a job title. It may give you a desk. It may give you access to systems, records, documents, and information. But none of those things automatically make you a professional. Your choices do. Your character does. Your integrity does. And remember this. Skills can tell people what you are capable of doing. Credentials can tell people what you have learned, but your ethics tells people whether they can trust you po. And in admin work, trust is not a bonus. Trust is part of your job. So when you are faced with a difficult decision, don't only ask, what can I get away with? Tanong nyo, what would a professional do? And even better, what decision would I be proud to defend if everyone could see it? Because at the end of the day, professionalism is not about looking good in front of people. It is about being good when nobody is looking. And that is where ethics becomes more than a policy. It becomes a personal standard. Now, let's take those principles and look at what professional conduct actually looks like in our everyday workplace. Okay, professional conduct in the workplace. Okay, now that we've talked about ethics, let's make this a little more practical, because sometimes people hear the word professionalism and immediately think, okay, I need to be serious. But being professional doesn't mean you have to look like you are attending a Senate hearing every day po. You can smile. You can joke. You can be friendly. You can have fun at work. Professionalism does not mean removing your personality. It means knowing when, where, and how to use it. And speaking of professionalism, let me give you a workplace example, situation. Set boundaries. Okay. The workplace GC. Sige. You wake up at 6:30 in the morning. You open your phone. You see, good morning po, 6:31 a.m. Then, ma'am, may I ask po, 6:32 a.m. Then, another message. Ma'am, sorry po, may question lang po, 6:33 a.m. Then suddenly, 45 unread messages. And you're thinking, good morning din po sa inyong lahat. Pero bakit kailangan kasama ako sa good morning? Di ba? And then, there's always that one person who sends, di ba? Hindi nyo maiwasan to. Sends you, good morning. Then waits. No question. No explanation. Just, good morning. And, syempre, you're thinking, okay, good morning. Pero, ano yung purpose ng meeting? Now that's funny, di ba? But there's actually a professional lesson behind it. Because professional conduct is often about respecting other people's time. Yung 2:00 ng madaling araw, "Sir, yung requirements ko po na-submit ko na. Bakit po hindi kayo nagre-reply?" 2 AM. Again, because professional conduct is often about respecting other people's time, attention, space, and boundaries. So, di ba? Let's go to professional behavior and workplace etiquette. So, professional behavior is not complicated. Di siya mahirap. It starts with basic things. Being punctual, being prepared, dressing appropriately for the workplace or event. Listening when someone is speaking. Follow through commitments. Being courteous. Ano pa ba? And repeating other i-respect lang natin yung time ng iba. And my experience working as an HR and admin, one thing very paano ko ba sasabihin ta? Obvious siya. People remember how you make them feel. You may not remember every email you sent last month. Let's just say like that. You may not remember every meeting you attended, but people remember that person was easy to work with. Hindi siya stressor. That person always made things difficult. Diba ang sakit? And that is why workplace etiquette matters. Diba ang sakit nun pag sinabi ako stressor kayo? Tama ba yung term ko? Because your reputation is being built in small interactions every day. Let's go to respectful communication. Okay. Let's talk about communication. Because you can be technically correct and still you communicate, diba? Still communicate poorly. For example, sige, ano yun natin? Imagine an employee sends you a message. Ma'am, sir, I just want to follow up on my document po. Sabi niya. And then you reply. Already told you, check your email. Technically, maybe you are correct. But professionally, you could have said, hi, please check your email for the update. If you don't see it, let me know and I'll assist you. But there's a difference. Same information, completely different experience. That's why professionalism, as professional, communication isn't simply about what you say. This is about how you say it. Your tone, it matters. Timing matters. Even context matters. And respect matters. Especially when dealing with people who are already frustrated. This is just a simple rule. Here's a rule I personally, I'm doing this every now and then. I like to use it every now and then. Be clear without being rude. Be firm without being disrespectful. Be professional without being cold. You don't need to shout to establish authority. You don't need to embarrass someone to correct them. And you don't need to be rude just because you're busy. And in fact, some of the strongest professionals I've encountered they are not the loudest people in the room. They are the people who uh, they can say, I understand your concern. Tandahan. However, this is the process. We need to follow this. Stuff like that. That's professionalism. Now, accountability and ownership. Let's talk about something that separates professionals from people who simply occupy a position. Accountability. Let me give you a common workplace scenario. So something goes wrong. The um, the supervisor asks, "What happened?" And then suddenly everyone becomes a detective. Alam natin 'yan. Hindi ako 'yan. Alam ko siya. Mga gano'n. Wala naman ako sinabi. I thought someone else was handling it. Mga para-paraan natin. And suddenly, nobody owns the problem. But but here's what a professional does. So instead of immediately looking for someone to blame, they say, here's what happened. This was my part. Here's what I can do to correct it. And that's ownership. And in HR work, I've learned that uh this one uh this one makes a huge difference. Differences, 'di ba? Because mistakes are inevitable. But your response to the mistake tells people a lot about your character. You don't have to pretend you're perfect. You don't have to hide every mistake. Sometimes the strongest sentence you can say professionally is, I made an error, I take responsibility, and here's my corrective action. That's accountability. It creates or it builds credibility. Okay, let's go to professional boundaries. Now, here's another important part of professionalism. Boundaries. And this is particularly challenging for us Filipinos. Bakit? Because we're naturally relationship-oriented. We ask, kumain ka na? Kamusta pamilya mo? Saan ka nakatira? Mga ganon. May boyfriend, girlfriend ka na. Di ba ganyan yung mga tanungan sa office? Di ba? Sometimes, before you even finish your first week in work, your colleagues already knew or already know your entire family history. Diba? Ganyan tayo sa office. And that's part of our, siguro sabihin na lang nating warm as a Filipinos. Diba? There's nothing wrong with being friendly. Okay lang yan. But being friendly doesn't mean we have to disclose everything. Professional boundaries mean understanding what what I should share, what should I keep private, and what conversations are appropriate in the workplace? And importantly, what relationships should remain professional? You can be friendly with your boss, but your boss is still your boss. You can be close to your colleague, but still, ano, pamilya tayo dito. Okay. But still, you have to maintain the fairness, 'di ba? Friendship should not automatically override professional judgment. And that's boundary. Okay. Digital question. You have questions? Questions? Clarifications? None? Okay. Digital professionalism. And now, probably one of the most important topic for our generation, digital professionalism. Because your workplace is no longer just your office. It's also, ano ba? It's also your messenger, your email, MS Teams, Zoom, Facebook, LinkedIn, and company GCs, di ba? And sometimes that accidental reply all, di ba? The button that can turn a peaceful afternoon into a career development opportunity. But seriously, digital communication is still professional communication. So before you hit send, you ask yourself first, is it necessary? Is it accurate? Is the tone appropriate? Am I sending this to the right person? Kasi baka may send mo sa boss mo. And does this contain confidential information? And perhaps the most important question, would I be comfortable if this message were shown to my supervisor tomorrow morning? You ask yourself first. Because once you press send, maliit lang yan. Once you press send, you don't really control it anymore. Screenshots exist. Forwarding exists. And the internet, alalahanin po natin, the internet has an incredibly memory. Okay. The delete illusion. Let's go to the delete illusion. This is just add-ons on my topic. Here's something very professionals should remember. All of us professionals should remember. Deleting a message, yung mga ina-unsend, deleting a message does not necessarily mean the message disappeared. Someone may have already read, nabasa na. Someone someone may have taken screenshot. Not everything is really correct. Someone, ito yung mabigat. Someone may have forwarded it. So don't write something digitally that you wouldn't be willing to defend professionally. And that applies to social media too. You may think, professional account ko naman to, di ba? Sabihin niyo yan. But your professional reputation, professional account, professional reputation, it doesn't always stay inside the office. You see, people search, people observe, people form impressions. So digital professionalism means understanding that your online behavior can become part of your professional identity. Okay, the 5 second professionalism check. So here's something practical you can immediately use. Before you speak, before you send, before you post, before you respond, take 5 seconds. You ask yourself, ano yan? Protect. P is is it professional? R, is it respectful? O, is it objective? Ngayon ko lang kasi click yung recording ay okay ba sa akin. Okay. And then, balik tayo. T, is it trustworthy? E, is it appropriate to environment? And then C, is it clear? And then T, would it be comfortable if someone else saw it? Think of it as your protect, PROTECT, check. Pwede natin gamitin yan. Because professionalism is ultimately about protecting your reputation, your relationships, your organization, and the trust people have placed in you. Okay. Okay, let's go to the positive side naman of professionalism. And here's the good news. Professionalism is a skill. That means it can be, you can develop professionalism. You can improve the way your communication. You can become better at setting boundaries. At setting boundaries, you can become, you can be more accountable. You can learn to handle difficult conversations. You can become more intentional with digital communication, and you can learn to remain respectful even under pressure. And every time you do, you increase your professional value, because organizations don't only need people who can do the work. They need people who can be trusted to do work properly. Okay. So let me leave you with this. Professionalism is not about this is not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Intentional with your words, intentional with your behavior, intentional with your relationships, intentional with your boundaries, and intentional with the information you handle. Because your job title may introduce you to people, but your behavior tells them who you really are. And remember, people may forget the report you prepared. They may forget the email you sent. They may even forget the meeting you attended, but they will remember whether you were respectful, reliable, responsible, and professional. So don't aim to be a person in the office who simply known as magaling, di ba? Aim to be the person people can say pag siya naman humawak nito, kampante ako. Because that is the real value of professionalism. Competence makes us useful. Professional makes us reliable, and integrity makes you trusted. And when those three become together, You don't just become a good admin professional. You become someone an organization can confidently depend on. And if professionalism, if professionalism means knowing how to handle ourselves and our relationships, the next question becomes how? How do we handle the information people trust us? Because sometimes the most valuable thing uh sitting on your desk, this is not the computer. It's the information inside it. Questions, clarifications? Okay. Next one. Ethical dilemmas for admin professionals. A while ago, I said something very important. Uh, the most valuable thing sitting on your kanina, yung computer. It may be the information inside it. And I want to make this topic personal because I want to share something with you. A mistake I made. In my previous work as an HR admin, I've handled a lot of confidential information. Employee records, applications, contracts, compensation information, disciplinary documents, personal information. And because you handle these things repeatedly, sometimes you become comfortable. And that's exactly where the danger begins. There was a time I made a mistake in handling information. I wasn't trying to violate anyone's privacy, but I learned an important lesson from it. Good intentions do not automatically make information handling safe. Sometimes you can have the right intention and still make the wrong decision about how information is handled. Now, and that experience taught me something I want you to remember. Confidentiality. This is not simply about keeping this is not simply about keeping your mouth shut. This is about controlling your information responsibly. From the moment you receive the information until the moment you no longer need it. Why this matters? Think about the information an admin professional may encounter. An employee's address, contact number, government numbers or IDs, details, salary information, medical records, performance niya, mga ganon. Bank details, password, etc., etc. Now, you imagine all of that information being placed in the hands of someone who says, don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Diba? That's not enough. Because confidentiality isn't simply, I won't tell. It's also, I won't leave it where someone can see it. I won't send it to the wrong person. I won't download it unnecessarily. I won't discuss it casually. I won't use it for a purpose that isn't authorized. That's responsible information handling. Okay, let's make this very relatable. Imagine you're in the office and you're processing employee documents. You print confidential document, then someone calls you. You stand up. You say, "Sandali lang." You go to another room. 5 minutes later, you come back. And then the document is still sitting on the printer. So you think, ay, okay lang, office naman to. But here's the problem. Office naman to is not security measure. Someone could read it. Someone could took a picture. Someone could take it. Someone could accidentally receive it with their own documents or napagpalit. And suddenly, a simple admin oversight becomes a privacy incident. Okay. So let's go to confidential documents and records. So what should we do? You start with the basics. If a document is confidential, know where it is, know who has access to it, and know why they need access. And know when it should be disposed or retained according to policy. Don't leave confidential documents unattended. Don't leave files open on a shared computer. And don't casually send confidential documents through personal accounts. Tsaka, don't store sensitive information in places that everyone can access. And don't assume wala namang makakakita. Because responsible professional don't rely on luck. They rely on controls. Okay, let's go to privacy and data protection. Okay, just not sure. Okay. This is particularly important dito sa atin, sa Philippines. We have the Data Privacy Act of 2012, yata yan, if I'm not mistaken, which provide a framework for protecting personal information. But I don't want you to remember the law simply because this is a requirement. I want you to understand the principle behind it. People are trusting organizations with pieces of their lives. Think about your information. Think about your information. Tapos, your name, your birthday, your address, cell phone number, baba, financial information, photographs, and then your employment records. You wouldn't want those things casually shared, syempre. So when someone gives you their information, treat mo siya the way you want your own information treated. That's how privacy becomes personal. Question: when should information be shared? Now, let's answer one of the most difficult questions. When should information be shared? Here's a simple principle. Need to know, not nice to know. Not everything is really delete correct. If someone needs the information to perform legitimate responsibility, then there may be a reason to share. You might share it through a proper process, diba? But if they simply want to become mali pala. if they simply want to know because they are curious, that's different. Let's say an employee asks, "Uy, magkano daw salary ni magkano salary ni John?" Your response shouldn't be secret, wag ganun. And then proceed to tell them, di ba? Wag ganun. The correct response is, "I'm sorry, but that's confidential information." Simple, professional, no gossip. No explanation beyond what is appropriate. Punta tayo dito. The danger of pakiusap. Ito, ano na to? And here's another challenge in the Philippine workplace. Sometimes, someone will say, "Pakiusap naman. Thumbs up nga kung hindi kayo nasabihan ng ganito. Pakiusap naman." Lahat kayo nasabihan. Okay. Close naman tayo. Promise, di ko sasabihin. And may iba pa nga dyan. Curious lang naman to. Ganun pa. But confidentiality doesn't change depending on who is asking. The information is confidential. It remains confidential. Even when your friend asks. And sometimes professionalism means being able to say, "I understand, but I'm not authorized to share that information." That's not being difficult. That's protecting trust. Balik tayo, digital information. Let's bring this into the digital workplace. So you have an employee file. You need to send to your manager. You attach the document. Then, you click the recipient. You type, let's just say Maria. And Outlook or Gmail suggests several names. Di ba nagsusunod-sunod yun doon? You look at the first name. Send. 5 seconds later, oh no. Wrong Maria. Di ba? And suddenly, your heart rate becomes cardiovascular exercise. Di ba? Nagbit na nagbit. That's why responsible information handling requires us to slow down. Before sending sensitive information, check the recipient, check the attachment, and check the content. Check the access permission. Yung na-check natin to, share, view ba siya, edit, stuff like that. Sometimes the most professional thing you can do is simply pause before clicking send. 3 questions. The 3 questions. Here's a simple framework I want you to remember. Before sharing information, tanong niyo muna, who am I sharing with? Why do we need to why do they need this information? And then how should I share it securely? Ganun lang. And then stop. Clarify first. Because when it comes to confidential information, it's better to be delayed than exposed. Okay. Information is power. Information is power and responsibility. There's an old idea that information is power. Nalimutan ko na kung sino nagsasabi nun eh. That's true. But an admin, dito sa atin, sa let's just say secretary or office staff, ganun. I want to add something. Information is not just power. Information is responsibility. Naging Spider-Man pa nga. The more information you have access to, the more careful you need to behave. And this is where my earlier mistake became valuable. Yung kaninang nakwento ko, because mistakes can teach us something policies sometimes cannot. They teach us to respect the consequences of our actions after making the mistake? Nangyari sa akin, I became more deliberate. I became more conscious about where information goes. Sinong nakakatanggap, how it's stored, and how it transmitted. Kaya ingat tayo doon sa pag naglalagay tayo sa messages sa Gmail. Konting type mo lang ng message, may mag-a-add na madadagdag, lalo na sa Outlook, di ba? And whether someone genuinely needs access, that is positive side of making mistakes. A mistake can become system improvement, di ba? They don't just say, I won't make that mistake again. Superman. You ask, what process can I improve so these mistakes, or mistake lang naman, kung isa pa lang, mistake can become less likely to happen again. That's professional maturity. Okay. You have questions? None? Let me leave you with this. When someone gives you their information, they're giving you more than a document. They're giving you trust. When an employee gives you their personal information, they trust you to protect it. Lagi nating tatandaan. When the management gives you confidential business information, they trust you not to misuse it. When a colleague tells you something privately, they trust you not to turn it into workplace gossip. Doon na pala yung chismis kinaumagahan. And every time you handle information responsibly, you are saying, your trust is safe with me. So you remember this. Confidentiality is not silence. Confidentiality is responsibility. It is knowing what to say, knowing what to share, and knowing what not to share. And knowing that just because you can access something doesn't mean you are entitled to use it or disclose it, because access is privilege. Trust is responsibility. And once trust is broken, you cannot simply press delete and make it disappear. Okay. You have questions? Clarifications? Violent reactions, Nan? Okay. Okay, common ethical dilemma for administrative professionals. Okay. Now, let's talk about something that happens in almost every workplace. Ethical dilemmas. And sometimes, they don't look like ethical dilemmas. Sometimes, ano po ba yung ethical dilemma? Ito, explain sa inyo isa. And sometimes, they look like pakiusap lang. Sometimes, they look like, ikaw na bahala. Sometimes, wag mo na lang sabihin. And sometimes, my favorite, ito yung pinaka-paborito ko sa lahat. Dito lang naman to. But let me tell you something I've learned from working in HR and admin. The most dangerous ethical problems don't always look dangerous at first. Sometimes they look like a favor. A funny workplace moment. Let me share a situation that many people who have worked in an office will recognize nito. There was a situation where an employee approached an admin person and said, "Boss, baka pwedeng pakiusapan." Di ba? And whenever a conversation and whenever a conversation starts with, boss, baka pwedeng pakiusapan, you already know where alam niyo kung saan pupunta to eh. Di ba? Medyo may pagka-dangerous territory tayo dito. The request seemed very simple, di ba? Boss, baka pwede ako mauna sa schedule. Then came the justification. Kasi may lakad ako. Next yan, matik. Then, ano pa ba? Saglit lang naman. Then, babalik naman ako. And finally, the ultimate Filipino argument, ano to? Usap lang naman. Diba? Ganyan tayo eh. And here's where we need to be careful. Because the person asking may not even think they're doing something wrong. They may genuinely believe small favor lang naman, di ba? But imagine that 10 other employees are waiting for the same opportunity. Now the question changes. It's no longer, can I help this person? It's, is it fair to everyone else? And that is where an ethical dilemma begins. Yun siya. Favoritism and preferential treatment. Ano yan? Maybe it's your friend. Maybe it's your relative sa trabaho. Maybe it's someone you've worked with for years. Maybe it's the employee you personally like. Ede, di ba? Kanina may nagsabi nga dito eh. Ayan. The problem isn't being friendly. The problem is allowing that relationship to influence decisions that should be based on legitimate criteria. Actually, a simple question can help. Would I make the same decision if this person were not my friend? Diba? Conflict of interest. What if your responsibility? What if you are responsible for evaluating a supplier, and one of the suppliers is owned by your relative, diba? For transparency, I have a personal relationship with this supplier. Pwede natin sabihin ganun. So I think it would be better if if another person handles the evaluation. Diba? That's not weakness. That's professionalism. Because ethical professionals don't simply avoid wrongdoing. They also avoid situations where their objectivity can reasonably be questioned. Misuse of company resources. Parang ang hirap explain ito. Naririnig ko na ito late every now and then. Misuse of company resources. Okay, paano mag-example to para malayo dun sa kwento? Printer, internet, ano ba? Office supply, mga ganon. Sometimes, the office printer become personal printing services natin, di ba? Most one page lang naman. Piprinta pala ng resume, mag-apply sa kabila. Then one page, nag-print ng correct. Nag-print ng resignation. Ang kabalang mo ka, nag-print pa sa company. Depende. Hindi. Baka naman kasi yan. Okay. Then, yung one page na yon, pag-print, naging 5 pages. Tapos naging 10. And then, pwede rin pong scan. Di ba? Again, we laugh. But the principle is serious. Company resources. Yung kasing mga company resources are provided for legitimate organizational purposes. Hindi pwedeng maliit lang naman yan. Okay. Di ba na iba yung example ko? Pangit yung ano eh. Ayoko naman i-relate kasi syempre, hindi naman tayo ano sa politics. Ah, ano naman, sige, manipulation of records or documents. Naku, ito na. Paano ba maganda example dito? Ah, imagine your supervisor. Supervisor na lang. Can you change the date on the document, sabi ni supervisor, para mukhang on time tayo. And you know exactly what they are asking you to do. Maybe you think, boss naman, di ba? But remember, authority does not automatically make an instruction ethical. Ayun. Confidential, ano naman tayo? Confidential breaches. Okay. Someone asked, uy, magkano daw salary niya? Or, totoo ba naalis na siya? Mga ganun. Sa office. May disciplinary case ba siya sa HR? And because you're an admin, you may actually know the answer. Diba? Pwede naman natin sabihin na lang ng maayos na hindi pwede for confidentiality. For confidentiality. Okay. Next one. Receiving gifts or favors. Small token lang po, mga ganyan. Maybe it's food. Maybe, diba? Maybe it's an expensive item. Para sa iyo na lang, mga ganun. The question is, could this gift influence or appear to influence my professional judgment? That is why organizations often have policies around gifts, favor, tsaka supply relationships. Workplace gossip naman tayo. This is one probably the easiest to recognize. Yung mga chismis. Hoy, may narinig ka na ba? And suddenly, the meeting has started. Don't tell anyone, ha? Ganun. Okay. Sometimes, professionally means simply saying, let's not discuss that if we don't know the full story. Diba? Okay, tama naman, diba? Being asked to do something questionable by a superior. This is perhaps the hardest one. So what happens when the person asking you to do something questionable is your boss? This is where ethical courage matters. Saying no to someone who controls your evaluation, schedule, or career can be difficult. But remember, respect for authority does not mean surrendering your professional judgment. So, isipin nyo lang din lagi ito. Yung word na pause. P, is it permitted? A, am I authorized? U, who could be affected? S, is it fair and transparent? And E, would it be comfortable? Explaining this decision later. Questions, clarifications? Okay. Okay. Ito pala. Ethical decision-making framework. Stop, think, check, decide. Okay. 5 words lang siya. 5 steps. 1 ethical decision. Stop muna. Before you react, stop. Sipin muna natin. Think. Next siya. Check. After checking, you decide. And then you act. Okay. Okay, next slide naman tayo. You have questions? Questions po? Clarifications? Okay. Pa-thumbs up nga if you're still there. Naku, nawala na sila. Ah, okay. Okay. Accountability naman tayo. Thank you. Okay. Ah, as a faculty member, ayun, nagtuturo din po kasi ako. As a faculty member, I deal with something that every student understands. Deadlines. And I'm sure students have very interesting relationship with deadlines. Some students see deadline as the final date. Others see it as a suggestion. And then there's a student who submit at 11:59, di ba? And somehow the file is named final.pdf. But here, where accountability comes in. As a faculty member, I also have responsibilities. I have to prepare lessons. I have to check submissions. I have to record attendance. And I have to evaluate students fairly. And sometimes I make mistakes too. So when the faculty makes a mistake, imagine this. You have submitted your activity. The deadline have passed. You check the LMS. You see missing. And you think, sir, I submitted that. You message your professor. Your professor checks and realize the student shouldn't, the submission was there. The mistake was on the faculty side. Maybe the file wasn't properly recorded. Maybe sometimes was, overloaded. Overlook pala. Mga ganun. In-upload po kasi yan sa LMS. Ngayon po kasi sa college, in-upload na lang yung mga assignment, ganun. Now, what should the faculty member do? The easy response would be, hindi ko nakita, di ba? Or baka hindi mo na nasubmit, baka hindi mo naman sinabit ng maayos. Or worse, wala sa record ko, so zero siya. But accountability requires something different. Pwede namang sabihin, you're right, I check again, and I miss your submission. I apologize. I'll correct the record. That's accountability. And I want to emphasize this. Being authority does not make you incapable of making mistakes. Being a manager doesn't make you perfect. Being a supervisor doesn't make you perfect. Professor doesn't make you, being a professor, it doesn't make us perfect. Being a professional doesn't mean never making mistakes. It means knowing what to do when you make one. Question pa? Questions, clarification? Okay. Ayan, may question tayo dito. What would you do? Quick reflection lang. Let's say pag nagkamali kayo sa company, what do you usually do? Sige po, patay. Ang sisipag natin mag-emoji ha. Tignan natin yung pag nag-type tayo. Nahiya na lahat. Sige, sige. Pag-emoji. Okay. Punta naman tayo, patapos na tayo. Building an ethical, nagtawanan sila lahat. Being an ethical administrative culture. Building an ethical administrative culture. Now, we've talked about individual accountability. We've talked about making ethical decisions. And we've talked about taking responsibilities when something goes wrong. But now I want I want to uh take it one step further. Because here's an important question. What happens? What happens when you put ethical people inside an ethical culture? As an HR consultant, this is something I see again and again. Organizations can have beautiful policies. They have a code of conduct. Sa office natin, yung mga ganyan, di ba? They can have employee handbook. They can have posters on the wall, mga nakalagay doon sa wall natin. Integrity is our core value. But here's the reality. A culture is not created by what is written on the wall. A culture is created by what people see happening every day. And this is just a consultant's perspective for me. In my work as an HR consultant, when I look at an organization, I don't only ask, do you have an HR policy? I always ask them, what actually happens when someone violates it? Because that's where where culture becomes visible. Imagine a company policy says all employees must be treated fairly, but management always gives special treatment to their favorite employees. What is the real culture? The policy says fairness, the behavior says favoritism, and the employees will be they will believe the behavior, not the poster. That's why I always tell organizations, your employees don't only listen to what leaders say. They watch what leaders tolerate. You lead by example. You speak up responsibly. You respect confidentiality. And you practice fairness. You document. Ito kasi binabasa ko sa gilid. Nakikita niyo sa screen. You document important decisions. And you encourage accountability. Okay, let's have a personal commitment, or we call this action plan. Okay. Ready na po? Are you ready? Thumbs up. Ang dami natin talaga today. Okay. What will you choose to strengthen? What is one ethical behavior you will strengthen in your professional practice starting today? Not 5, not 10, 1. Maybe it's confidentiality, honesty, pwedeng fairness. Maybe it's accountability. Maybe digital professionalism. That last one can save careers. You don't have to, kahit wag niyo nang i-type na sa chat box. Okay na yun. Isipin yun. Stop. Think. Check. Decide. And act. Okay. Someday, when you look back at your career, people may not remember every report you prepared, They may not remember every meeting you attended, and they may not remember every deadline you completed, but they will remember something much more important. They will remember, could I trust this person? Could I trust them to tell me the truth, 'di ba? Could I trust them to treat people fairly? Could I trust them when nobody is watching? That's your professional legacy. So let me ask you one final question. What is, what is one ethical behavior you will strengthen in your professional practice starting today? Don't choose something because it sounds impressive. Choose something you genuinely need to improve. Because professionalism, this one, growth begins with self-awareness, and ethical growth begins with the decision. Now let me leave you with this. Your career will be built in your skills, but your reputation will be built in your choices. You may have the knowledge, you may have the experience, you may have the position, and you may have the authority. But the question people will eventually ask is, can I trust you? And that answers won't come from your resume. It won't come from your job title. It won't come from the certificates hanging on your wall. It will come from the way you behave. You behave when you have choice, when nobody is watching, when nobody will know, when the easy option is right in front of you, and when doing the right thing costs you something. That's where character is built. That's where professionalism is demonstrated. And that's where ethics becomes real. So don't wait for a major ethical crisis before your before before you prove your integrity. Practice it in the small decisions, in your email, how you treat people, how you protect the information, because ethical decision may seem small, but thousands of ethical decisions become professional reputation, and professional reputation, it can become a legacy. So when you return to your workplace today, tonight, or tomorrow, or on Monday, I hope you don't simply remember what I thought you. I hope you remember what you promised yourself. What is one ethical behavior you will strengthen starting today? You choose it, practice it, you live it, and let the decision become the beginning of a more ethical version of yourself. Because ultimately, professionalism is what you do. Ethics is why you do it. And integrity is who you are when nobody is watching. Thank you, everyone. Magandang gabi po. Nandiyan mo ba si Admin? Hi, Admin. You have questions
Thank
pa?
you, mentor.
Hello. Hi. Thank you din. If
Parang
questions,
na-starstruck kasi ako
clarification.
sa mga wordings niyo po. Being good even not everyone sees you, 'di ba? Thank you so much po for your insights and advices, the knowledge you have shared with us sa ating participants po, meron pa po ba kayong questions regarding sa ating topic or clarification or pwede pong dagdag na insights you wanna share with us? Diba? Ang daming naka-appreciate po ng discussion nyo po. Actually, mahaba-habang notes na mahabang notes na tong ginawa ko from you, mentor. And thank you so much for that insights. And now, if mayroon pa po kayong dagdag na questions or insights na idadagdag habang nandito pa po si mentor para masagot po niya. And sa ating Facebook participants po, pwede kayong magtanong or mag-comment ano pong gusto nyong sabihin regarding sa ating topic. 'Di ba? Ang daming parang naglo-load yung memory ko kasi sa dami ng mga insights ni mentor. Tsaka notes ko mahaba-haba din po.
Salamat po.
Sa ating participants here sa Zoom, meron pa po ba kayong katanungan? So, masasagot pa ni mentor. This one sa inyo, nakikita nyo sa inyong screen is the evaluation form and the attendance sheet for tonight. And nandito na din po sa ating chat box ang inyong links para if nahihirapan kayong ma-scan ng ating QR codes na nasa inyong screen, pwede pong gamitin ang ating links na nasa chat box. And I'm gonna share also this one sa ating Facebook page para sa ating participants na nanonood sa ating Facebook Live. Ayan po. Kindly scan na lang po sa ating evaluation form and attendance sheet. Regarding po sa ating certificate, marireceive nyo po after you submit your evaluation form and the attendance sheet. Hinihingi po namin sa inyo ang inyong dagdag na oras to fill out the forms na nasa inyong screen makikita. And pwede nyo pong gamitin ang ating links if nahihirapan kayo mag-scan para madali po kayong makapag-fill out. Thank you so much, Mentor Oreo, for another administrative series na inyong share with us. And we're inviting everyone po sa ating natitirang 3 webinar po sa ating month of August. This Saturday will be the Human Resource 112, the webinar on employee onboarding and offboarding process. It will be about the transition sa ating HR management. And the August 26 will be the Information Technology 105, the webinar on cybersecurity. And the Marketing 07 will be August 29, the webinar on Customer Relationship Management or the CRM in Marketing. We're inviting you po sa ating upcoming 3 webinar series na ating gaganapin for the last week sa ating August. And I'm sure meron pa po kayong clarification. I-submit nyo na lang po ang ating evaluation form and the attendance sheet para po ma-receive ninyo ang ating certificates for tonight. And regarding po sa nag-avail ng 8-hour, 4-hour, and the 6-hour certification, the rest po ng ang dagdag na hours na inyong in-avail is the independent activity na isa-send namin via email, and you will send us back sa email din po. Meron naka-indicate na date of submission doon. Kindly fill out na lang po or answer the questions na nandun sa activities. And thank you so much everyone and Mentor Oreo for another Thursday night na shinare nyo po with us. Thank you so much for investing your time with Scale Up. And thank you so much everyone sa Facebook Live viewers din po natin. And hopefully, makikita pa namin for the upcoming webinars and follow nyo lang po ang ating Facebook page so you will stay updated po sa ating mga upcoming series. Thank you so much po sa nag-submit ng ating evaluation and attendance sheet for tonight. And later on, you will receive your emails with the certificate of participation. Thank you so much, everyone. And always remember, we are your Scale Up partner. Good evening po sa lahat and we'll now end this session for tonight. Assalamualaikum sa lahat. Regarding po sa ADAS na upcoming webinar, i-follow nyo na lang po ang aming Facebook page para po ma-update kayo sa ating mga webinar schedules and the topics na aming ipopost. But I think about the ADAS specifically, wala pa po kaming webinar on that. Thank you so much po and good evening everyone and have a great night ahead. Assalamualaikum.